Welcome to the Mavens Do It Better podcast. And now, your host, Heather Newman.
Hello, everyone. We are here for another episode of Mavens Do It Better. I am here with the awesome, wonderful Robert Bogue.
Woo! It'll be my own fan club today.
Yeah, oh, well.
Yeah.
Yes, dear friend and colleague, and we are catching up. Where are we? With San Diego.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and we just saw each other in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's kind of a back-to-back, and then we haven't seen each other in a really long time.
Right.
Absolutely. So, we're at the AIIM Conference, so it's kind of fun. So I wanted to have Rob on. As you all know, these interviews are about extraordinary experts who bring a light to our world, and I definitely think that about Rob in many realms, definitely in technology, and he's got all kinds of really cool things that he does outside of that as well that we're going to talk about today. So, but let's start off with your moniker in the technology, in the SharePoint community that you've had a long time.
You mean the SharePoint shepherd?
Yes.
Or the guy that carries the big stick?
Yes.
It's actually a crook.
Yes. He carries a crook around, y'all.
Yeah.
So where did that come from and how did that start?
Honestly, I needed an alliteration. I needed something that would be funny, and I'm like S's, and Sherpa was taken, and so then it became shepherd, and then so I do travel with the staff, and I often get asked how I do that.
Right.
I have a trick staff. It breaks down into 3 pieces.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'm always worried that TSA is going to stop me.
Right.
Because I have like a quarter staff in my bag.
Oh, sure. Because it's
right?
still pretty big, right?
Well,
like the 3 pieces? Or
yeah.
whatever?
Well, and you think you assemble them, so they don't know the difference between a quarter staff and a shepherd's crook.
Right.
So, but that's how that started. We initially published the SharePoint Shepherd's Guide for End Users in 2008.
Wow.
On the 2007 version. Mm-hmm. And then we did 2010, 2013, 2016. And now we're kind of in this continuous integration for Office 365.
Right. And it started out as a book?
So it was always a book that wasn't supposed to be a book.
Right.
So I did been doing publishing for a really long time.
Right.
And so I knew how to do that. I knew how to make books.
Cool.
But it was always intended to be tasks that you put into SharePoint that were searchable.
Right.
And so we do the book. I call the book, that's our promo materials.
Okay.
Right?
Fair enough. Yep.
And so we've been doing that for a long time. And it's super cool. I love the ability to customize. So our customers can change the content.
Right.
And even as we're doing updates, we leave their content intact.
Right.
They can add new content, and it's super searchable because we actually deploy it into their environments.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, tell everybody how you deploy it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a push, and you don't have to have super permissions. You start the program, and it pushes all the content in, and so that then makes it a part of your search index.
Right.
So you do that, and you do a little keyword, action word for help, and somebody can type in help column, and it'll give them all the results for columns.
Right.
We also do for the customers who have multiple versions of SharePoint. Like we've all kind of. It's kind of like we've collected dishes over the years, right? And they don't exactly match. And so there's actually a version selector. So if you are saying, oh, how do I add a column in Office 365? And you're like, how was this done back in the dark ages of 2007? You literally click on a selector, and it shows you the way it was done in 2007.
Right.
So it's super fun to walk down memory lane.
Yeah, no kidding. That's awesome. And with that, tell everybody about, so Rob and I talk on Skype sometimes on video, and so like he can see like my office and I can see his studio and all of that, and I know that you have a really fancy studio at your place.
I do.
With a green screen and all that kind of jazz. So like you are also making videos all the time that are part of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Shepherd's Guide comes with videos.
Yep.
So every task comes with videos. But then we also do other course production. So, for instance, AIIM, the conference we're at now, that organization, I built their Implementing Information Management on SharePoint and Office 365 course that they sell.
Gotcha.
And the funny thing about a video studio is the video is the easy part.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The audio is really super hard. And so I have more invested in the audio in my studio than I have in the video.
Okay.
And people are like, getting all the sound suppression panels and covering every panel and the audio gear and all that stuff to make it sound beautiful.
Right.
Super expensive.
Yeah.
But,
No, yes, it's not cheap. That is for sure.
so that's what, for me, that's been the thing that the video we produce is beautiful. Its picture is beautiful, but it is rock solid on the audio side.
Right.
And so I just love that about having the studio.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that, even with podcasts and stuff, like these little Zoom, I'm using an H4 and Pro Zoom, and this has a pretty good microphone and stuff, but when you start doing it when we're not in person, oh my goodness, it's like if you're using bad equipment, it sounds terrible. And someone was like, I think it's in this ear and not that ear, and when it plays in my car, and blah, 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 and you're just like, holy cats, like it's just a lot to think about making content with this sort of thing. So so you are also a awesome book reviewer. So if you don't know this, I post a lot of Rob's book reviews. Like I'll post them up on my Creative Maven site because I think they're awesome. And what's great about them is that they're like my own personal sort of cliff notes to things.
Yeah. I don't have to read the whole book. I just read Rob's thing. It takes me a couple minutes, and I'm good.
It's great. Or giving me a flavor if I want to read something or not. But so talk about how you got into doing that. I mean, obviously you're a reader, so yeah.
So I started 5 or 6 years ago, and it was this part of my life that it was a period of time in my life where I needed to grow. I went through divorce and got remarried, and I started to think, the thing I'm going to do for me, the thing I'm going to do to grow and become a better me is I'm going to read a book a week. And that was really easy when you didn't have other people you need to worry about.
Right.
But I kept it up.
Yeah.
And though most people think my reading list is boring, because it's marketing, it's psychology, it's leadership, it's business, it's all this stuff, but none of it is like fiction so every single week I will read a book, and then I post the review Monday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. The only other interesting thing, because you said it's a good summary, but the thing I enjoy most about it is linking topics together. So for me, it's, this in marketing, and this in psychology, and this in business, and this in leadership, and connecting all those things. That, for me, is the part that is allowing me to keep doing it.
Right, yeah. It's super, everyone, we'll put a link to his stuff in the show notes, but it's cool. I like I like your brain. So, I like the way that you do those connections and link other books, that you've read into sort of how you think about stuff. So, you've been in the Microsoft ecosystem for how long?
Well, first the earth cooled, then the dinosaurs came. So I've been in it for a really long time, a couple of decades. MVP for 15 years now.
Yes, okay.
Just super fun.
Yeah.
Lots of great people. And we've been a partner for a long time too, but that's just kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell everybody where you live and where you're from and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so live in Indianapolis. Been there for a long time. We have 7 kids, 2 dogs, and it's just a great place to be.
Yeah.
Not so great in the winters, but I'm kind of digging this San Diego weather.
Yeah, not so bad. I'm from Michigan, and I lived in Zionsville. Yeah, right there. So I'm a Indiana gal myself for some years and growing up. Yeah, it's a good place. It's a good place to be.
It's good people
for sure. Yeah, so. I know. I like that too. And with 7 kids, I know your wife, who's lovely, who's visited me in California before, and you two have really cool things that you collaborate on together as well. Will you talk about some of your collaborations?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that we did. So back in 2015, one of the things that we did was we created a set of child safety cards. Yeah. So Terry was supporting the pediatric intensive care unit and noticing that parents and kids weren't really talking to each other. And so we created cards to get them to talk to each other, and then we added safety sayings from the CDC or the American Academy of Pediatrics. We added a dice replacement. And so that's in our Kin to Kid brand.
Say it again?
Kin to Kid.
K-I-N.
K-I-N, the number 2, K-I-D.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
So we did that. We have a book coming out in May. The Society for Human Resource Management is going to publish Extinguish Burnout, A Practical Guide to Prevention and Recovery. And then we're going to be speaking at National Conference, which is super fun. And it's about how do you not get burnout in what you do? And nursing has this, healthcare has this, IT has this, everybody has this.
Yeah.
Right? And you can get burnout in life, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're super...
What do you mean, as I know? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I think we all have been there.
Yes, we have, and we've talked about it extensively. So anyway.
So we get that going on. We had a patent issued last month. So in February, we had a patent issued for an IV dressing innovation. So the short of it is dressings need to be clean, dry, and intact to prevent bacteria from getting in your bloodstream and killing you. And it's hard to assess dryness because you always have gloves on. So super, super simple. And we're super looking forward to that getting out in the market. 100,000 people, roughly, die every year from healthcare-associated infections.
Wow.
So we're trying to, save lives.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes the SharePoint thing seem really boring. but I love the community there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. You two collaborate a lot together, which is really exciting. And then you are doing things... I don't know. Do they just come up because of something you're passionate about, or is it
how did it come?
Yeah. How did it happen?
So the card started on a conversation back from a SharePoint Saturday in Atlanta, and we were frustrated because parents and kids weren't talking.
Right.
And we're like, well, how do we get them to do that? And then it was cards, and it just snowballed, right?
Right.
The dressing, we were on our way to our son in Connecticut, and we're driving through the middle of Pennsylvania at 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
By the way, there is nothing in the middle of Pennsylvania, much less at 1:30 in the morning. It's dark.
Right.
And Terry was whining a little bit about this kid who got sick from a bug that is a gut bug. It's a normal thing you have in your gut, but he was in serious condition. And so it's 1:30 morning. I'm making random connections. I said, well, dog vomit fluoresces, and maybe human vomit does too. Now, why I knew that dog vomit fluoresces,
oh my goodness,
I have no idea.
Okay.
So then from my mobile hotspot, we ordered from Amazon 5 lights, and the nurses test the fluorescent lights with kids, and human vomit does not.
Okay.
Then
good
I'm like,
to know.
yeah, I mean, if you ever need it, but scorpion, anything from a scorpion, including their urine, does fluoresce as well. So there's your Trivial Pursuit fact for the day.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
And then I'm like, well, maybe we could feed them green fluorescent protein. So when they do vomit, it will fluoresce. And we decided that was probably not going to go over really well.
Yeah, no.
But then we settled on, you know what, any liquid is a problem. It just happens that someone vomiting on their dressing is super bad because you get bugs already in it. But any liquid is bad.
Okay.
And so that's what we came up with. Well, we'll just make a moisture indicating dressing.
Ah.
So
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, so they're all some problem we bump into.
Right.
And then we just go, well, what could we do to fix it?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many people that talk about all kinds of ideas and things all the time, but then they never take action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard taking action. So we're working right now on, so if any of the listeners work at a hospital and know environmental services, they only clean half the stuff they're supposed to. And that's research. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. It's just research.
Right.
We've got a way to improve their cleaning rate. And if I can get them from 50% to 75% of the objects that they're supposed to be cleaning, and notice my target is not 90 or 100, 75, I can reduce hospital-associated infections by about, it's about 20%, which works out to be about 1 to 2 infections per employee per year.
Wow.
So we're super excited about the ability to work on that, and to that one actually brings a little bit more of my technology background into it. But it's how do we keep people from getting hurt and getting sick and dying?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and isn't that kind of, some of the most important things?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, so in that one, I'll tell you the story behind that one was Terry was in the hospital for something, and she's fine now, but she was in the hospital and saw the environmental services cleaning and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I'm like, I can fix that. And she's like, you can't fix that. That's humans. You can't. I'm like, nope. I've got 20 years of training. I know how to fix that problem.
Right. Yeah. Is that coming soon? ... You're working on it.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
The problem is the savings, which is in infection control, and the cost is all in environmental services. And they're so far apart in the organization.
Right.
So I've got to try and find a company that, a healthcare organization that really gets it.
Right.
As like, not only do we want to save millions upon millions of dollars every year, but we also don't want people getting sick.
Right.
And when I find that client, we'll roll through production and
yeah, absolutely. Are you going to take the cards in places outside the U.S.? Is that already being thought of?
Oh, we haven't. The cards are a really interesting thing, like because I carry them with me all the time and I give them to people randomly, which occasionally gets me some weird looks at airports and stuff. But mostly people are like, "Oh, thank you." Those are ones that are philanthropy for us, right? We're trying to just get them in the market so that people don't accidentally hurt their kids, right? They just don't know.
Yep.
But that's another case where we're actually waiting for the right partner.
Yeah.
To want to push this mission.
Right. So, what does the optimal partner look like? Because they might be listening.
Honestly, it's reach to the affected market, which is people who don't have a lot of family around. So they're younger parents. The cards really talk through grade school, elementary school, and a lot of interactions, a lot of touch points with those sorts of folks. We really felt like there are lots of places where kids are at that it'd be super cool to have these either as a giveaway or as a low-cost item that they could purchase.
And give an example of one of the cards, something that it teaches.
The simple stuff would be stuff like don't let your kids play with the dog near food, right? Like that's you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Dogs, food, they get protective. Right? The kids will get hurt. There's things like don't let your kids be outside while you're mowing. Kids take 2 weeks to adjust to heat. Babies respond to temperature changes quicker, so you have to be more careful with them than others. So it's a variety of things, and really what we did is we took the CDC's vital statistics, and they keep this, and it's what people are getting injured by.
Okay.
And we sorted them, and we took the top of the list, and those made it into cards.
Yeah.
And then the child drawn artwork is pretty cute, because you get to see kind of what the kids thought.
Right. That's so cool. I love that. So anyone listening, food for thought on that one.
Yeah. Let us know. Well, we really do want to get them out there.
Yeah. And going back to technology land, you've been in this business area for a really long time. What do you think's coming? What's on the horizon? Or the things that people say is like AI and virtual reality.
Okay. So
all
right. So let's do AI first.
Okay.
Because this is one of those things so we're sitting at the AIIM conference and now everybody's talking about robotic process automation.
Right.
Sorry, we've been doing this for a long time. We called it business process automation, right? But we didn't have the AI component, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, we got AI now, right? So what is AI? Well, AI is anything we haven't figured out how to do before, right? It's really, people are like, oh, AI. You know what? 20 years ago, OCR was AI. 20 years ago, optical character recognition was super amazing, and it was impossible, and it was wow, right? And now, if you talk to somebody about AI, they won't put OCR in the list, right? So AI is just the stuff that we want you to long for, hope that you get.
Yeah,
and it's good stuff, and it's magical, and boy, I love mathematicians and statisticians who can make this stuff work.
Right.
But for me, it's all the same. It's all what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. I loved my Data Man. My little. Do you remember what those were? So it was like it wasn't a calculator. It was in the shape of a robot. It was literally called Data Man, and it taught me my multiplication tables.
Yeah, like a little Alfie sort of thing.
Yes, it was a little dealio, and to me, that was like the best thing I've ever had held in my hands.
Yeah. So future, right? Like to answer your question.
Yeah.
I think what I'm most excited about is that every iteration we learn a little bit more about how to make technology work for actual humans.
Yeah.
And we're not getting it right yet, right? I don't want to say that we're getting it right, and the pendulum keeps swinging, right? Like, so we have all this stuff on-prem, and it's deployed, and blah, 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 and big corporations can't change it for 10 years, right? And now we're on the other end of the spectrum where, oops, I blinked, and Office 365 changed, and I blinked again, and man, now I've got teams instead of groups, and I blink again, and I think we're too far on that end, right?
Yeah.
But I like the idea that we're going to swing to the middle.
Yeah.
And we're going to figure out how to help people be successful with all this technology that we keep dreaming up and implementing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's with anything in a way. It's like the pendulum. Like it sometimes it swings so hard one way or gets stuck, and I think we're all wanting things to be just balanced.
Yeah, balance
more. Yeah. Now I thought, because since we are here at the AIIM Conference, it's always interesting to see where things are moving. In particular, with paper and somebody. I was dealing with an insurance issue the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, well, you can fax it," and I was like, "Who has a fax machine?" You have a fax machine?
I do actually have a fax machine.
Oh my God. Why do you have a fax machine?
Because I have a big multifunction copier in my office, and it has fax built in.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, but the A's have called.
Okay,
and they want it back.
Right, I was like, you don't have a standalone fax machine, though.
No.
Okay, all right, let's be clear. But my point is that I think that because you work and do a lot of things in healthcare, like healthcare, anything financial services and utility, and some of our sort of, I guess, the most sort of important industries are the ones that probably still have fax machines and so many paper records and all of that stuff. And I see it moving, but I don't see it moving as fast as it could. I don't know.
Yeah, I
wonder why. I guess I have my opinions about why, but why do you think?
It takes just a ton of energy to manage all this churn.
Yep.
Right? And absolutely, should we maybe get rid of fax machines? Yeah, I would agree we need to get rid of the fax machines. But to change a business process, or rather to change all of the business processes, takes a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and people don't like change.
Right.
I mean, I don't care, coming to any show, any of these technology shows, and talking to people, walking into a customer, you may have the best thing that they've ever seen, and they love it, and they're like, yeah, that's great, and they're like, I don't know.
Right.
Do I have to move from here to there?
Right.
To do it?
Right.
Oh, and you're like, it's like, and sometimes it's free.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't even give it away.
I know.
To have somebody make a change.
Right.
And I know you talk a lot about like adoption, user adoption, and all of that stuff. Has your spiel changed, or is it the same?
It's changed. It's more informed.
Okay.
So I spend more time. What I realize is the people I am talking to have never been trained in organizational change management.
Yes.
They've never been trained in psychology or communications or engagement or. Right. And so what I realize is I'm talking to somebody who drives a car about how to repair a car.
Right.
And it doesn't work. Right? And so basically I'm teaching auto mechanics.
Right.
Or I'm saying, if you will let us, we will repair your car for you.
Right. Or we can teach you to change
Right.
oil.
Right.
And do like this, like 5 things that
Right.
on this checklist
Right.
that you can do yourself.
Right. I mean, learning to cook. Right. If you think about learning to cook, you could become an expert chef.
Sure.
Or I can teach you a handful of things, and I can give you a box of recipes, and you know what? You're going to do okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I'm not even talking like boxed dinners kind of okay. I'm like, you know, if you learn how to scramble an egg and bake a chicken breast and a handful of things, that's all you need.
Yeah, you're going to do all right. Yeah. So you're writing we've written a book that's going to come out that's about burnout.
Yep.
How do you, not to dig too personal, but like, how do you avoid that? How have you avoided that? And does that come into the book? Are there stories like about your personal life? Is it like, how does...
Yeah, there's definitely stories.
Yeah.
There's definitely stories. They tend to be more about the kids or our friends. Mm-hmm. But they're definitely the stories. I think, so I don't mean to oversimplify this because then people won't buy the book. But
it does. I don't think it matters in a way because it's like you can tell people to do X, Y, and Z that's going to be good for them, and they still don't do it.
Right.
Right.
So here's so we have 2 models in the book.
Yeah. One
is the bathtub model, and it is your personal agency is a bathtub, and when the bathtub is empty, you have burnout. Okay, and that's super simple. Okay. Now, what fills the bathtub are your results, your support, and your self-care. So if you keep those things flowing, then everything keeps working. Now, by the way, the drain has a valve on it so that you can manage that, and those are the demands that are placed on you. And so at a basic level, if you feel like you have the capacity to get things done, you're unlikely to be in burnout.
Right.
The second model in the book is a little harder to get. You have to there's more that's needed, but I'll give you the basic framework. The basic framework is you have to feel effective. Now, I said personal agency, the ability to get things done. Effective is actually a past tense. You're looking backwards, and you're evaluating what should I have gotten done with what I perceived I did get done.
Okay.
When those 2 things get too far out of whack, when you feel like, oh my gosh, I should have gotten way more done, you expect more of yourself, you have a lower view of what results you got,
right.
You'll be in burnout. And then so you trip those over to where you feel like, you know what, I'm doing a really darn good job. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting stuff done. And then it will be difficult for you to fall into the trap of burnout.
Right. I like that. I think because sometimes with burnout and some of these issues, there's like, I don't know, and being in different panels, you and I speak a lot on different panels and talk about that stuff, and I feel like sometimes that it's like, there's like, somebody will be like, well, you know, you just have to be positive, or you have to be like vocal, or you have to do blah, 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 and I feel like sometimes we don't use good examples. Like, I like it, it's like, that seems, if it's like the bathtub system, you know what I mean? And it's a visual, and you can see it, and you can be like, that it's lower or higher, and you turn the drain on or off. But I feel like sometimes you read books or you like listen to people talk, and it's like these big sort of, I will call it like an empty slogan. You know what I mean? And I think that that's exciting. So it's there's a system, and then there's also examples and stories of people that you know, your family and friends, about how either they've gone into it or gotten out of it.
Yep.
Okay. That's awesome. I can't wait to read it. Say the name of it again.
Extinguish Burnout, a practical guide to prevention and recovery.
How many books have you written?
That'll be 27.
Holy cats. I think I knew that. I knew it was in the 20s, but I didn't know it was 27. When did you write your first book?
91, I wrote a chapter in a book.
Wow.
And so you get, by the way, I say 27. It doesn't mean I wrote everything in all the books. When you write one chapter, you get author credit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that's what,
that counts.
Author credit on 27. When this book is published, it'll be 27.
What is the one is there one that has like, I don't know, is it something about like the first, or is there something about maybe this one, or is there something about one that you were like, this is the most awesome thing? Like is there one?
It's this one. It's Extinguish Burnout, and part of it is I got to work with Terry on it. And we get to work on it together.
Right.
She and I had worked on a chapter in a information overload book by the American Nursing Association. And that was fun.
Yep.
But this is different. And the other books that I did prior to that stuff, it's mostly technology books. And again, I love technology and I don't want to minimize it, but this for us is extinguished burnout's going to change people's lives.
Yep.
Right? Like you don't get stuck anymore. You don't develop depression. You don't like the correlation numbers. If you look at some of the research, some of the researchers are trying to say that burnout and depression are not different. I don't agree with that, but that there's some really high correlations.
Yeah.
So if I can figure out how to keep you out of burnout,
yeah,
and it does, by the way, the flow of information is having burnout leads to depression, right? It's a fast follower. It falls within 3 months.
Sure.
But if I can keep people out of burnout,
right,
maybe I can keep them out of depression. And depression is predicted to be the largest healthcare, not mental health, healthcare issue we will have on the planet by 2020.
Well, and stress and depression and all of that stuff leads to us getting, it's disease.
Right.
It's cancer. It's
right.
All of those things are what that is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All the things that you're like, you turn around one day and you're like, really?
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, yeah, remember all the times you've been stressed and bananas and couldn't get things done and felt terrible about yourself and like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I completely believe that as well. Wow. This is so exciting. I can't wait to read it. You also have... did we talk about your organizational and communication videos at length at all? So let's talk about that. Because he's got all kinds of great stuff, y'all. He's just got, we're bouncing around, but like I keep remembering all the cool stuff you're doing.
I can't sleep.
I know.
So one of the common problems about technology. So we start talking about what's new in technology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of the common things in technology is getting the users to adopt it. And what I find is all the folks haven't been trained, psychology all that stuff. So what I started to do was put together pieces that people can use in their communication. So if I go back to a cooking metaphor, right? I pre-make something, and then you can season it, and it's yours. You made it,
right? But
all the core of it's done. And so we've got 2 series that are releasing publicly. They've got bumpers on them, but they're releasing publicly. One is engagement videos. And so that started with Where's Waldo?
And that's not engagement like getting down on one knee.
No, we're not talking about exchanging rings.
Okay.
We're talking about how do you get your users excited about your technology.
Gotcha.
So that started with Where's Waldo and just teaches people how to search on their intranet. It ends with Wormhole Physics, which is not yet posted, which is about how you use Teams to connect people, Microsoft Teams. You connect people across time and space. And the spoiler alert is, so I'm the SharePoint shepherd.
Yes.
My characters are, they're like leading lamb, Sam sheep, Elaine you, right? Like it's kind of in that. So I made a call to the field.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I called Lola Lamb while she was in the field.
Right.
It's just, but so you have to see that episode, and that'll post at some point. And then, so that was how do you tease that into the middle of a communication about the rollout you're doing,
right? Or
how do you get people excited once you've rolled out? And I kept doing this, and what I realized was the corporate communicators. These are most of the time they're the admin person for the department, who's generating the story about whatever, right? They've never been taught communications. Right? They don't have journalism backgrounds. They don't know about inverted pyramids. When people talk about inverted pyramid, they think about the Bengals, right? Talk like, no, that's walk like an Egyptian.
Right,
Sorry.
right.
But they don't know, right? They don't know to write emotionally. They don't know how to write a story.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, if you've not been in drama or journalism or whatever, you don't know how to write a story.
No.
Right?
Right.
If I said Joseph Campbell, if you've been through story stuff and writing stuff, you know Joseph Campbell. It's hero story. And you know that stuff, but if you've never done that, right? And the teaser for the folks who are listening, if you don't know that, it's the framework that George Lucas used for Star Wars, right? Like, it's the thing. And so we have a series of those. Those are 600 words, 4-minute videos. And those are posting every other week. So the engagement's 1 week, and then we do communications. Folks can use those directly. The videos up on YouTube. If they want to subscribe to a series of them, so they get them pushed. I give them to them off my video platform with shorter bumpers. And then if they say, no, this is really good, I really have to have this, they can buy a license that has really no bumpers.
Okay.
And they can either deploy internally, which they can use to watch their activity and know who's watching them.
Right.
Or they're also allowed to use them off of my video hosting platform, but they have no bumpers and no ads and no, like, it's just the video.
Got it, the content. That's super cool.
So
I like that methodology on, in our gig economy of like using the content, how you want to use it and license it and all that stuff. That's super cool.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, it's a new experiment for me.
Yeah,
I like experiments. Most of them fail.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, they do. A friend of mine says.
No. I mean, 1,000 light bulbs. Or
Whatever. A friend of mine's
like,
I love that you never fail. And I looked at her and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Failure always leads to really good things. Usually, let a lemonade out of big lemons.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. I look at failure. Failure is not an option.
Yeah.
It's the pathway.
Yes, exactly.
So
fail hard, fail quick, fail fast, fail a lot, move on. For
Yep.
sure. That's good.
Keep failing, just don't let it be fatal.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's good. Yeah, no Darwin Awards for anybody.
Right. Hey, y'all, watch this.
So we've got a new book coming out. We've got videos. Oh my goodness, you've got a patented bandage.
IV dressing.
IV dressing. I wanted to say that right. I don't even want to say what else. Anything else? I mean, I know you're.
Gee, I hope not.
Yeah, I know. No burnout for you, Mister.
Yeah. Well, again, results versus expectations.
Yes.
Right? My expectations are low, and I'm cranking stuff out. It may not be very good, but I'm cranking it out.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Where will we see you speaking next? SharePoint?
I don't know. Well, so I don't know. See, so here's the thing. I know that I'm speaking at the AIIM Conference nationally. I know I'm speaking at the Association for Professionals in Infection Control.
Cool. Okay.
I've got HR conference I'm speaking at in Indianapolis. I know I've got more stuff.
Yeah.
The best thing on speaking schedule is go to the website, go to thorprojects.com, and on the lower right is the upcoming speaking schedule.
Yes, and his website is Thor, Thor, like Thor.
The Viking god of war and thunder.
Thorprojects.com, so you can catch him there. And we'll put more links up on show notes. What's your Twitterati handle? It's Robert Bogue, I believe.
Rob Bogue, at Rob Bogue.
Yeah, it's at Rob Bogue. Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's wrong, we'll fix it. But
well, I don't. So I should know this stuff.
I know. I was
but
like,
I don't use it actually.
I tweet you all the time, but I'm like, I don't know either. But anyway, we'll put it in the show notes as well. So, Rob, man of many Maven hats for sure, and such a dear friend. And thank you for catching up and being on here and telling everybody. You always have such cool things going on, and I'm always just like, wow, because they're, just from the heart, and wanting to help.
If we look, Jobs said. He said, figure out what kind of ding you want to make in the universe.
Yeah.
And for Terry and I think I figured it out. I think we're going to go ding this healthcare associated infections thing, and I think we're going to grind it into the ground.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, that's amazing, right? And love to Terry and thank her too. But yeah, so good. So thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Heather.
Absolutely. Well, everyone,
be fantastic.
Okay, we'll work on that every day, I think, hopefully, yes. Folks, catch us on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all the places where you listen to your wonderful podcasts. And here's to you and another beautiful day on this big blue spinning sphere. Thanks. The original music on this podcast was created by Jesse Case.